My name is Jordan Henderson. I am 26 years old, and I lost my life in a place of mud and ice. Before all of that, my world was simple, and I mean that in the best way possible. I lived in a small village just a few hours from the city. I worked as a carpenter. I loved the smell of fresh sawdust in the morning. I loved the solid feel of wood beneath my hands. I was married to the most beautiful woman I had ever known, my Anna. Together, we had a little girl, Sophia. She had Anna's eyes and a laugh so sweet it seemed like it could make the birds themselves begin to sing. My life was about fixing chairs, eating the soup Anna cooked, and teaching Sophia how to count the stars above us. On Sundays, we went to church. I prayed, but almost like breathing. You do it without always thinking about it. I never thought much about war. I never thought much about death. I only thought about repairing the roof before the winter snow arrived. Then everything changed, and I was sent away. I became a soldier. The man who once built things was handed a weapon and told to destroy. Each day was bitterly cold. Each day was deafening with noise. And each day, all I wanted was to return home. I longed for the smell of wood. I longed for my wife's gentle smile. I longed for the weight of my daughter resting in my arms. The day it happened was like so many others, gray, cold. The air smelled of wet earth and metal. We were moving through a patch of bare, lifeless trees. Then came the whistle, a sound you grow to hate more than any other. I thought of Anna, just a flash of her face. That was the last thing. Then came a blast so fierce it was no longer sound, just fire and crushing pressure, and then nothing. Absolute silence. No pain, no cold, no fear. All of it gone. I felt weightless. I opened my eyes, but those weren't my body's eyes. It felt like something else was seeing. I was drifting, gently rising as if I were a flake of ash lifting from a dying fire. Beneath me the scene stretched out, trees like black bones, the frozen mud, bodies strewn across the ground, my friends among them, and my own body, broken and twisted, lying in a pool of blood. The sight made a strange, soft kind of sorrow settle over me, like watching a sad film. Fear wasn't there. I felt oddly detached, as if I were outside of it all. I watched my fellow soldiers running. Their shouts reached me, but thin and distant, as if carried from a million miles away. I understood then, clearly, simply, that I was dead. The realization didn't frighten me. It was a fact, plain as knowing the sky is blue. And I felt fine. Something vast and gentle began to fill me, a peace deeper than anything I had known on earth, deeper than the happiest moments with Anna and Sophia. It reached into the very center of me. Then a pull came, tender and loving. I turned away from the ruined field and saw a light. At first it was small, like a single star, and then it swelled. It never burned bright in the painful way of fire. Instead it was warm and welcoming, alive with a hum I could feel more than hear. I didn't move with a body toward it. My soul, my spirit, whatever name fits, was drawn in, like a man freezing to the bone drawn to a hearth. As I approached, the light took form. It shaped into a man. At first his face was hidden in the brightness, impossible to make out because the glow itself was so pure. But that light was more than light. It was love. Strange as it sounds, it was love you could sense with every part of you. It was more real than the ground under my boots. It knew everything about me, every petty thought, every selfish impulse, every lie, every hurt I'd caused. None of it mattered. I was loved wholly, not for deeds or worth, but simply for who I was. Tears filled my eyes, but they weren't sorrowful. They were relief. The burdens of my life, the dirt, the war's fury, my failings, melted away in that presence. Finally, I stood before him and could see his face. I recognized him instantly. Not from the painted images in church, which felt like a child's sketch compared to this. He was alive with reality, sharper and truer than anything I had ever known. What struck me most were his eyes, not blue or brown, but made of light and gentleness, carrying an ancient wisdom. When he looked at me, I felt singular, like I was the only soul in creation. He saw me, the scared boy who feared the dark, the man who loved his wife fiercely, the weary soldier. He saw it all, and his gaze held nothing but love. He didn't speak with lips. His voice came straight into my heart and head, both thunder and whisper at once. The first words filled me. "Welcome home, my child. Be at peace." And I was. Standing in his light, I wept, content and without desire for anything else. I was home. After a span I couldn't measure, he spoke again, gentle but threaded with sorrow, a vast, cosmic grief. "Dmitri," he said, "I need to show you something." The light around us shifted. We were no longer only in that bright place. We floated above the earth. I saw the continents, the deep blue oceans, the white spirals of clouds. It was breathtaking, perfect in its own way. "This is my creation," he told me. "I love it. I love every person on it. But they have forgotten me." Then he showed me scenes. It wasn't like watching a film. I was in them, feeling what they felt. First came a family in a large American city. They sat around a table heavy with food, yet there was no conversation. The father stared at his phone, his expression hardened by something he'd seen. The mother scrolled through pictures on her small screen, sadness tucked into her shoulders. The children played on their devices, each lost to his or her own screen. They were physically together, and yet utterly alone. "They have everything," Jesus said, his voice full of sorrow, "but they are hollow inside. Their hearts are not truly bound to one another because they are not bound to me." This is how the darkness begins, slipping quietly into those little empty spaces. Then the vision shifted. He showed me a church. People were singing loudly, their voices raised, their hands stretched high into the air. Yet Jesus let me see past the sound and into their hearts. One man's mind was on money, worrying about how much he had to earn in the coming week. A woman was quietly judging the clothes of the person standing next to her. The pastor was thinking more about how many clicks and views his sermon might get online than about the message itself. Their prayers rose only a short way, like thin wisps of smoke that lifted a few feet and then vanished. "They honor me with their lips," he said, and the sadness in his voice was almost unbearable. "But their hearts are far away from me. They ask for many things, but they do not ask for me. They want my blessings, yet they do not desire my heart. Their prayers hold no power because they carry no love." In that moment, I felt a crushing shame. I realized my own prayers had been like that so many times. Nothing but lists of things I wanted. Not a true conversation with the God who loved me. Not a real conversation with the God who loved me. Then he showed me something else. And this is the hardest part to speak of. My whole being still trembles when I remember it. He put before me the leaders of the world, not only one country, but many nations. I saw them in their grand rooms, seated around long tables that made everything feel important and official. And beside them, whispering into their ears, were spirits, dark, warped things, the shape of malice. They murmured about power, stoked pride, and fed fear. They told those men and women that the only answer was to be stronger than anyone else, to build ever larger weapons, to never show weakness. The leaders could not see these things with their eyes, but they listened to them all the same. "This is the great deception," Jesus said to me. "They are putting their hope in weapons of mass destruction. They think these machines will keep them safe. They are raising their own towers of Babel, not of brick, but of steel and fire. They cannot see that true strength comes from surrender, true safety comes from trusting in me." Then he showed me what follows. On the horizon of some country, I could not tell which, and it did not matter, there came a flash, a light brighter than 1,000 suns. A vast cloud rose up, mushrooming into the sky. But he did not show me only the blaze. He showed me the souls. I felt them. 1,000,000 voices cried out at once, fear, pain, confusion. Whole families vanished in a single heartbeat. I saw the spirits of mothers desperately searching for their children. I saw the spirits of children bewildered and terrified. The flood of death and sorrow rolled over me. It was a pain so complete, so absolute, that I fell down in his presence. I could not hold it. "It's going to happen. Nothing is hopeless while I sit on the throne," he said. In that moment, I felt a surge of pure power and authority from him that seemed to shake the very heavens. Yet he does not force his will on people. He offers them a choice. "This is the future they are building without me," he showed me, "but it does not have to be their destiny." Then he brought another vision. He showed me a small circle of women praying in a basement in India. Their prayers shot upward like a bright pillar of light straight into heaven. He showed me a man in Africa forgiving those who had harmed his family. As he forgave, a protective, radiant shield of light formed over his village. He showed me a teenager in Brazil who chose to lift praises to God instead of sinking into despair. And her worship confused the dark spirits that had been trying to torment her household. "Look," Jesus said, "this is the weapon that will win the war. Not bombs, love, not violence, forgiveness, not pride, humble prayer and true repentance." He told me that a single heart that genuinely turns back to him can alter the future of a family. A family that returns to him can change the destiny of a city. A city that turns to him can change the path of a nation. He searched my face and said, "I did not show you this to fill you with fear. I showed you these things to light a holy fire inside you. Fear," he told me, "is the enemy's tool. Hope is his." In that moment, I finally understood. The real battle wasn't fought only on fields with guns and tanks. It was in the hearts of every person on earth. A calm settled over me. I knew what I needed to do. But I didn't want to go back. "I want to stay here with you," I whispered, the words catching in my throat. "Please don't make me return. It's so awful down there. It's so cold. I keep seeing the mud, the blood, the hatred in men's eyes. Here, there is only love." He gave me a sad, gentle smile and laid his hand on my cheek. "Dmitri, my brave soldier," he said, "your war is not finished. I'm sending you back as a messenger. You have seen what is coming. You have seen the only way out. Go and tell them. Tell them to wake up." "But I'm nobody," I protested. "I'm only a carpenter, a simple man, a soldier. Who will listen to me?" "You will not be alone," he replied, his voice braided with promise. "I will be with you. I will give you the words. You only need to be willing to speak." He told me to tell them to stop fighting over flags and strips of land. Tell them to begin fighting the real enemy, the hatred buried inside their own hearts. Tell them to pray, not with empty lists, but with broken, humble hearts. Tell them that their prayers can hold the darkness at bay. Tell them that I love them and that I am waiting. The thought of leaving him tore me apart. It was the worst pain I had ever felt. Worse than the blast. Worse than the vision of the world's end. It felt like my soul was being ripped in two. I begged him, clutching at him, "Please let me stay. Your family needs me." He whispered, "Anna, little Sophia, you have work to do. But do not fear. This is not farewell. I will wait for you when your work is finished." He leaned in and kissed my forehead. A burst of pure love and light ran through every part of me. Then I began to fall, down and down, back into the darkness, back into the cold. I gasped the most painful gasp of my life. My chest felt like it was burning. I was freezing, so unbearably cold. My body screamed in agony. Someone shouted my name. "He's breathing. Dmitri is breathing. Get the medic." My eyes fluttered open. The sky above was still the same hard gray. I smelled mud and something sharp and clinical, like medicine. A young medic knelt over me, his face pale with shock. "Hold on, son," he said, voice trembling. "Just hold on." They strapped me to a stretcher. Everything blurred into a rush of noise and pain. Later, in a field hospital, an older doctor with exhausted eyes came to see me. He read my chart and then looked at me as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. "I don't understand it," he said, shaking his head. "You were gone. No heartbeat, no breath, for at least 12 minutes. Medically, that's impossible." He pointed out the shrapnel, everywhere. It had ripped through your vest. It should have torn your heart, but somehow it stopped only millimeters from the heart wall. "I've been a doctor for 30 years, he said quietly. "I've never seen anything like this." I lay there and cried, not from the pain ripping through my body, but because I had just left heaven. I cried because I missed him. I cried because I knew what might happen if the world did not change. So here is my story. I am no prophet. I am not special. I am a carpenter who was forced into a war I did not want, and who witnessed something I will never forget. Jesus sent me back with a message for you, for everyone. He told me to tell you that time is short. The world stands at the edge of a cliff. Leaders are being deceived and are placing their trust in weapons that will only destroy us. But there is hope. The hope is you. The hope is in your heart. If you are listening to this, He is calling you. He is asking you to choose,